Let's start off with the number 10 prospect on my list. I'm going with a quarterback. It's North Dakota State QB, Trey Lance.
Okay.
Trey Lance cracks the top 10 despite only playing 17 games in his college football career.
Sounds like Carson Wentz a little bit, huh?
Well, let's see, Sean. He played one full season 2 years ago where they went 16-0 and won the playoffs and all these things. North Dakota State only played one football game this past season due to coronavirus issues. They said, we're going to play one game, give him kind of a showcase for the scouts. It was basically the Trey Lance game. It was a completely different deal in 2020 because of COVID-19. But Trey Lance, you look at this kid, all right, 6'3", 220 pounds, has a big arm, can move. I saw Daniel Jeremiah throw the name Andrew Luck as like the top prospect that he could be. I think he's more of like a Ryan Tannehill type. Why I say Ryan Tannehill? Big body, can move, an athlete. But the problem is we don't know much about him. He played one season, went 16-0, played one game last year, won that game. But in that game, just went 15 of 30. Scouts are like, there's not a lot of tape on him. We don't know if he's got the experience. He played at a smaller school at North Dakota State. And he's coming out as a redshirt sophomore. I like Trey Lance. I think the upside is huge. I don't know if he can make an impact right away, but I am definitely seeing him in my top 15 of every mock draft I do, and he might go as high as top 10. Quarterbacks always are overvalued on my list, so I think if you can get a quarterback, he is the most important position on your team. Wide receiver out of Alabama. I know Nate Burleson loves this guy.
Oh, yeah.
After DeVonta Smith.
Here
he is, number 9, Nate. A lot of people have him number 2 on their mock draft to the Jets. I'm not knocking the kid. I think the numbers are incredible. The skills are incredible. There are a couple wide receivers in this draft that I like more just because of the body type. I don't want to talk about a top 9 prospect and go through the negatives, but he is skinny.
You got like a little more meat on your bone is what you're saying,
170 pounds is pretty thin. So if you put a little more weight on him, or maybe that's what he plays at, and that's fine. But let's not underestimate just how good this guy was. Heisman Trophy winner, as shifty as they get, so good on the routes. The comparison here, Marvin Harrison. And you know what? I don't think it's that crazy. He is that much of a technician with his footwork and his routes.
You mean the Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's one.
He could be that good.
I'm trying to figure out why you got him at 9 strikes.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to get to the other receivers later this week. Again, nothing to knock him. Incredible player. We had him on the show. He was a a guest. Nate, you did a bird lesson on him last week.
Ooh, look at that.
Caught 100 catches off a jugs machine every single day after practice at Alabama. That is the rumor, and it is true. He is a technician. The tape does not lie. Whereas Trey Lance, we don't have a ton of footage on him. We do know what we're getting from DeVonta Smith. 175 pounds. I don't know if I can drop the wide receiver in the top 3 or 5 of the draft at 175 pounds when we're seeing such freaking natures out there in the A.J. Browns and the DK Metcalfs and those type of guys. So far, we've already done number 10 and number 9. We are now at number 8 of the top 10 prospects. And I'm going down to Gainesville. This guy might be my favorite offensive weapon in the entire draft.
Peter, let's do it.
It's Kyle Pitts. If you haven't seen Kyle Pitts yet, please take a look at some of the tape, and let me tell you what he brings to the table. 6'6", 250 pounds. This guy never dropped a ball at Florida. Never fumbled a ball. Has hands of gold. Catches everything, runs like a deer, and the comparison that everyone's making is not Kelsey or Gronk, it's the next wave of tight ends. That player, Darren Waller. Same sort of huge build. 6'6", but he can block and he's physical. He's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. He was the star at Florida this year, won the Mackey Award, and you are hearing comparisons to all the great receiving tight ends. Tony Gonzalez gets mentioned. Kellen Winslow gets mentioned. He is that highly touted. I saw a mock draft just yesterday from a respected mock draft, pundit, had him going number 4 to Atlanta. Number 4, that high, because he is that talented a player. You saw a TJ Hawkinson or a Noah Fant go in the first round in the last couple of years. This guy, Kyle Pitts, could go as high as top 5. He's the number 8 prospect on my list. Number 7, going back to the quarterback position. Yesterday we did Trey Lance. Today I'm in on Justin Fields. I think we've been watching Justin Fields. Unlike Trey Lance, we've seen Justin Fields play. He played 12 games at Georgia, transferred, goes to Ohio State where he has this great career as an Ohio State Buckeye, was a Heisman finalist. now comes out this year and lights it up again, despite having the COVID-19 restrictions and the Big Ten starting late. He had 20-2 record at Ohio State, threw nearly 70 touchdown passes, had 19 rushing touchdowns in his college career, and as a Heisman finalist a couple years ago, 41 touchdowns through the air and just 3 interceptions. So what's the comparison for Fields? You know, I know a lot of scouts love what he brings. I'm going to give one that I haven't seen. I think he reminds me a little bit of Dak Prescott. Same similar thick kind of build, has a good arm, great legs, Kyle. He can run, but he's not one of these burners. He's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not a Deshaun Watson. He is a bigger body, comes in at 6'4", 228 pounds. So he is not one of these speedsters. In fact, he's more like a Dak Prescott, Cam Newton type where he's going to physically use his legs to get the next play. I'll go on to number 6 because it's my list. And I could throw a safety in there if I want. There wasn't a single safety drafted in the first round last year. And you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm not doing a mock draft. I'm telling you my favorite prospects. And I watched a lot of football this season. And TCU safety, Trevon Moehrig might have been my favorite defensive player. And I've got him all the way up at 6 on this draft. He plays safety, and he's not a box safety waiting to tackle you. He's not a guy who cannot move. He plays all over the field. It's like watching Tyrann Mathieu out there. The comparison that Daniel Jeremiah makes is Harrison Smith. I think that's really, really strong. But I almost feel like he can do a few things more. He intercepts passes, so he definitely does the center field stuff. He is all over the field like that. But he can line up at linebacker if you need him to. He can cover wide receivers if you need him to. He was all over the field for TCU. He's a hitter. 2-time first team all Big 12, led all safeties in pass breakups around the country in 2019. He's been one of these consistent players. I watch the NFL every weekend. It's like, you need the number 32 on the Chiefs, Matthew. You need to have a Winfield on the Buccaneers. You need to have a Jamal Adams, someone who could fly all over the place. He probably won't go in the top 10. He might not even go in the top 20 of the draft. But on my prospect list, I know that guy's going to be a player at the next level. Trevon Moehrig at TCU, number 6.
Give me some. Say it again. It's not a mock, all right?
Not a mock draft.
People think you have him going 6th overall.
It's your faves.
My favorites.
Yes, do whatever you want.
Give me some Mo.
This is it. Some Mo. An Alabama wide receiver and not be the Heisman Trophy winner. I'm going with his teammate, Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle had an ankle injury this year, didn't play as much as DeVonta Smith, was never the number 1 at Alabama, and in most cases was usually the number 4 at Alabama behind Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs and DeVonta Smith. But he might be my favorite wide receiver in this entire draft. An absolute burner. Wears number 17, and if you watched his punt return against LSU 2 years ago or in the Iron Bowl against Auburn where he took a slant and went about 60 yards, he is the most electric wide receiver in this draft. I know there's no combine. It pains me there's no combine because last year, Henry Ruggs ran a 4.2 40. We all did flips. I think he's faster than Henry Ruggs. I think he is faster than Henry Ruggs. He's bigger than Henry Ruggs. I think this is Tyreek Hill. I honestly do. I think Jaylen Waddle could be Tyreek Hill.
Miller?
I think he is as fast as
high praise, bro.
Any player in this entire NFL. That's how fast I think this guy could be. He could be the fastest player in the league, and he does it in special teams as well. Returns punts, returns kicks. They throw slant passes to him, and it was usually Tua from 2 years ago. And Waddle would take it at the 40, shimmy, and then break 3 guys, defensive backs, who are all in the NFL from other schools in the SEC, and go for touchdowns. The problem? Ankle injury. Missed a lot of time this year, and there are questions. Now, we're hoping that in this world of coronavirus and COVID-19, maybe possibly being pushed away a little bit, we can bring him in for some visits with doctors, and maybe we can look at the ankle and you can make your decisions. But I just watch SEC football every Saturday, and I can tell you, Jaylen Waddle to me, a little bit more than DeVonta Smith, who put up huge numbers and is as silky, smooth, and as polished as anybody, might be my favorite wide receiver in all of college football. I got him higher than his teammate who won the Heisman. It's the player you're going to hear about most from right now until draft day. It's BYU quarterback Zach Wilson. The Wilson hype train has officially left the station. The buzz is out of control. And I almost feel like this is sober and modest of me to put him 4 and not number 1 at this point, the way this thing is going. But make no mistake, his highlight reel is incredible. And I know this sounds blasphemous, and I know we do this every year. We throw him.
Here we go.
I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but some of the throws he makes here's an adjective, Mahomesian.
Like it.
That looked like a really nice catch, right? It was a really good throw, too. This kid, Zach Wilson, 6'3", has the build. He's 210 pounds. He's insanely accurate. He throws on the run. He throws off his back foot. The technique is whatever. It's the fact that he gets the pass perfectly placed at the receiver. I've been watching, some of these games. Look at this one here. Throws it deep against Boise. It's a perfect pass into the end zone.
Boise had a tough night that night.
Oh, yeah. Every highlight seems to be against Boise. Here's Utah getting in that game. Doesn't have necessarily the burners to be a runner, but he's mobile. Like, you watch him play, he's completely able to get out of the pocket and move. Chris Sims, who we've mentioned now 3 times on the show because, well, I've been waiting for someone to do it, has him ranked above Trevor Lawrence. And you see that and you say, oh, clickbait, that's ridiculous. He's not the only one. I've heard this now, and no one's been able to come out, and no GM has told me I've got Wilson over Lawrence. But the whispers are coming out, and not just in the mock draft community, but from front offices, that Wilson is really, really good and does things that Trevor Lawrence doesn't. We shall see how it all plays out, but we talk about a quarterback draft. This one, I believe, it's not just Lawrence, and it's not just a one-track. Wilson's really good, Lance is really good, Fields is really good, and Mac Jones can have an argument as well. So I cannot wait for the draft. I think Zach Wilson is going to be one of those names we talk about the most on this show. So if you can at home, if you haven't watched him play, and I understand it's college season was weird, go and look up some Zach Wilson footage or just keep it here on NFL Network. We're going to be showing plenty. Absolute beast at number 3 for me, and that is Oregon offensive tackle Penel Sewell. He didn't play this entire season. Sewell said, okay, because of COVID-19, I am opting out. But when I'm telling you, this guy is a prototypical road paving, pass blocking beast at left tackle. I cannot say it enough. He was the Outland winner 2 years ago in 2019. He's 6'6", 330 pounds, and he just absolutely clears the way. Now look, he was Justin Herbert's left tackle when Justin Herbert was the quarterback there at Oregon. He didn't play all of last year. He's an incredible specimen, and not just because of his size and his strength, but because of his insane athleticism. We had Vita Vea on the show earlier this week, and Vita's one of those guys who's 350 but could play running back and has this incredible footwork. That's what you get from Penel Sewell. Just an incredible talent. His technique is not polished, but remember, he didn't play all of last year, so you're looking at film from 2 years ago, and he's got a bit of a mean streak. I love Vita Vea because he's got this smile, but on the field, he's nasty. You know who else is? Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson's one of those guys that wants to destroy you. That is this player. You watch him on film. Number 3 for an offensive tackle, that seems awfully high. Guess what? When you saw what Wirfs did out there in Tampa as Tom Brady's tackle, what you saw, what obviously Andrew Wills did for the Browns, there are left tackles who are making an impact right away. And as though they're not sexy as the wide receiver position, and you as a fan might say, gosh, we got an offensive tackle. How do I root for that? That's the building blocks. That's the cornerstone. And this guy right here could be that player.
Peter, you think Jets fans would gravitate towards a guy named Penel?
That's right.
Hey!
To get to my top 10 list so far, here's what we've had. Number 10, Trey Lance, the quarterback out of North Dakota State, only has played in 17 college football games, missed all of this year except for one game. DeVonta Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. Kyle Pitts, one of the best tight end prospects we've ever seen in a draft. Justin Fields, Trevon Moehrig, who I'm getting a lot of heat from, people saying, what, a safety? Just wait, this guy's awesome. Jaylen Waddle, the other wide receiver from Alabama, who I think goes before DeVonta Smith in the draft. Zach Wilson, everybody's favorite new young hot quarterback that everyone's jumping on now. And then Penel Sewell, who missed all of last year, but is a dominant road paving tackle. Let's get to number 2. And it's another wide receiver.
Okay.
It's LSU wide receiver, Jamar Chase. We talked a lot about the Alabama guys. I've got Chase as number 1 on my list as far as the wide receiver position goes. And Nate, I cannot wait to see you dig into what this guy does, because he was teammates with Justin Jefferson 2 years ago and blew him out of the water as the number 1 receiver on that team. Justin Jefferson was the number 2, and it wasn't even close. Jamar Chase, 2 years ago, when LSU won the national title with Joe Burrow at quarterback, 1,800 receiving yards and 20 touchdowns in that season, and was the clear number 1. Jefferson was a solid player, but Jamar Chase was the story. Absolutely unstoppable. A unique prospect in a lot of ways, because he does run the routes. He is a burner, but he's not like a Henry Ruggs burner, and he's not like a Jerry Jeudy technician of the routes. He just always seems to be open and always seems to be making plays.
Peter, Chase literally wears number 1 and Jefferson wears number 2.
That's exactly right. Couldn't be more explicit there.
Wow.
So you're wondering, why didn't I hear about him? Why where's he been? He didn't play all of last year. Opted out. Did not play a single game last year. Decided to opt out. Said, I'll let my numbers from 2019 speak for themselves.
So he's just training.
He was just training, and he was trying to get ready for this NFL draft. Jamar Chase, the comparison. And again, I always talk with with Matt Hamilton, who's our producer, who helps us put together these prospects lists. And I'm looking at him like, he's only 6 foot. He's not a 6'5", and he's not going to run a 4.3 40. Like, what's the comparison? It's the complete dominance when the ball comes to him and his ability to get open and then break away. DeVonta Adams is our comparison for Jamar Chase. Not the biggest guy in the room, not the fastest guy in the room, just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Sometimes you just have that.
And that's him. That's him. He's not Julio. He's not Calvin. He's a player that you look at in a room and you're like, all right, what's this guy going to do? And then he absolutely terrorizes you on the field. Jamar Chase, to me, is the best non-quarterback in this draft. I could see him going as high as number 2 to the Jets, and if he doesn't, number 3 to the Dolphins. It would make a lot of sense to me. He is that unstoppable. You know, the wide receiver position has a lot of players in the later rounds. Then you get the guys who go in the top 5. They usually hit. Jamar Chase is that player this year. It's the first time in years it isn't even a surprise.
Here we go.
Trevor Lawrence. Let's not overthink this, people. Trevor Lawrence is the guy. He's been the guy for 3 years. And it didn't do anything this season to knock what he's done in the years prior. If anything, he helped his draft status. We've seen him do it for so long. He's 6'6", 225 pounds. And honestly, if you can go in the lab like Frankenstein and build a quarterback.
That's it.
This is it. 6'6", 220. He could throw every pass and it runs. There's like a gazelle out there. He's the next. He's the prototype. He's everything that you want in a quarterback in 2021 as far as skills go. There's really no direct comparison for him. A quarterback that big who can run like that, who can throw like this. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the best quarterback of all time. I'm not going to say he's going to be Mahomes. I'm not even going to say he's going to be Josh Allen. I just know from pure traits coming out of college, this is him. This is the one. This is number 1, and it's number 1 by a landslide. Zach Wilson's going to have a lot of people who love his game and love what he brings to the table and also 6'6", 220, played in every big college football game you can imagine, won every big college football game you can imagine. There is no hole in Trevor Lawrence's game. He's a great kid. Teammates love him. His ex-coaches staff, they rave about him. And he's going number 1 to Jacksonville. It would take a wild change of events from now until the end of April for anyone to even question this player being their number 1 prospect. He's everything that all these quarterback gurus aspire to see. He's the total package. I hate to just wow you with flips in it. You're going to hear everyone talking this way as it gets to the point. Trevor Lawrence is my number 1 prospect.